only one control is there. Now here we have to do that setting. So pre-populate value. Since we have to auto populate that value, so ignore the default value if you are doing any scripting and all. Go to the type, just select the current portal user. Okay, so this current portal user is nothing, it's just a contact record in the Dataverse who is logged in on the portal, right? Understand this term, like current portal user means who is already logged in on the portal, and who is already logged in on the portal is the contact in the Dataverse, right? If I select this in the from attribute, I have to select the field of the contact that you want to auto populate and that event registration form field. So I'll select the first name, and this first name field is of contact. All right, save it. Go back to my portal, sync. Okay, now just refresh it. Now you can see like first name has been auto populated. So in the similar way, whatever information you have in your contact, you can auto populate on the and on any another tables. You can similar way auto populate the last name, date of birth, gender, and the contact as well. Okay. Now this is basically on this is basically auto populated on the load of the form. Sometimes some information you want to auto populate while saving the data to the database, right? So for example, like you are a developer, you are working on some complex requirement, and you want to keep some of the fields hidden in the background. And when the user submitting the data, at the time of submitting the data, you want to save the data in that field and pushing it to the database. So for that purpose, you will see like, okay, so yeah, you can just go down, set value on save. So the same thing you can, whatever you have done on the pre-populate, you can do it on the set value and save. So the difference only is that it will not auto-populate at the time of load. It will only set the value at the time of saving the data. So when I'll I will click next, it will save the data in the Dataverse. So yeah, these are the some hidden things that you can use as a developer. Okay, so if I just some random things here, date of birth, select name, next. Okay, then we have the contact details. So here we can also do that, the stuff. Okay, so let's see some other properties as well. Okay, so metadata is not only about to auto-populate the fields. You will see some other properties as well. For example, like sometimes if you are creating a form, your client asks like, can we show some sort of description below the field, above the field? So you can show the descriptions and instructions as well. We can also change the label in the Dataverse, but I don't think like there is some restrictions that of number of characters that we can use it in the labels in the Dataverse field. So if you have a 3 to 4 lines of labels, you have to show it. So you can just select this yes, and you can see like you want to show that description above the field, below the field, or above the label. So it's it just by default, and you can put the description in the different languages. You can have the regular expressions as well, because this is quite common requirement. For example, you have an email field on the portal, and your client has a specific domain that they want to accept the user submit the data or provide the email address. So you usually write a script for that, so you don't need to do that. You just select that email field here in the attribute and go to the regular expression and provide the regular expression here. So, and if any error comes, then you can provide the validation error message as well here. Okay, field is required. This is also important. Like you have made your field optional in the Dataverse, but for the portal user, it is mandatory. It happens a lot of time, because if you making the field mandatory at the Dataverse level, it will be mandatory for everyone, right? So always decide this carefully whether you want to keep that field mandatory at the portal level or at the Dataverse level. Okay. So a lot of things are there here, and
You can or hide based on the value on other field.
sorry,
Can you show and hide some sections based on the value?
for that you have to write the script. Exactly, yeah.
If I set up the part field only if that showed,
Yeah,
you can't do that logic.
yeah, exactly.
You have to do the JavaScript.
You have to do the JavaScript, exactly, yeah. So this is basically it will all, if I select this field as required, it will always make the field mandatory for the portal user. But as you are saying, like there might be a case for portal user also, you have to conditionally hide and show.
Yeah.
Then of course you have to write the JavaScript for that. And one more thing, like I want to highlight, like whatever JavaScript you write in the Dataverse, that is XRM model based, right? Form context, execution context, and all. So that doesn't support on the portal. So you cannot expect that I have already written my business logic on the model driven app form and that will work on the portal. No, you have to write the DOM, the document object model, like document.get event by ID, or if you are using the jQuery and all. So that kind of syntax work on the portal. You cannot.
The same things when you have a multiple step,
Mm.
only taking that sequence.
Yeah.
By condition, the values in certain values then go to the different different page.
Exactly.
Different steps, sorry, different step.
Yeah.
There's no built-in function for that.
No, there is no for that. Yeah. So whatever I'm showing you is the inbuilt capabilities. If you have, because like if I just go there. So this is how the so for example, I have 4 more steps are there. So this is how the multi-step form looks like. But sometimes, someone who is working on the model driven app, they think like, can we click on that particular step, same like the BPF, like business process flow, to come on to that. So there is no feature. So you have to write the script and all. For example, you have to click on previous only, then only you will be go to the previous stage, right? You can't click on the stages just to move on. So a lot of client has a requirement kind of, can be show the same BPF on the portal. So of course you cannot use it, but you have to write the script for that. So these kind of restrictions. Okay.
When you write the scripts, you have to hook it onto the content.
Sorry.
Say, for example, my colleague was asked that maybe there's a conditional logic that you want to do. Skip the second step and go to the third one because there aren't a certain.
Yeah, good question. So if you just, so this is my multi-step form, okay? And let me go back here. So this is my first step. So, okay, this is the multi-step form. And here is the start step, that is personal information. Click on that. And if you go to the form definition, source type, just a moment, there is a form option probably. No, I think there is a way here. No, generate from previous step. Let me go to the next step. Somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So whenever you create a step, you have a option like condition, form, tab, or redirect. Okay, so we are currently showing form on the different steps. So I have chosen form. If you select a condition here, if you go to the condition tab, here you can see you can put the condition, and based on that you can next step if condition fail. Okay, so you can redirect according to that, and here the instruction is given that how you can write your condition. For example, if user has selected particular thing on the drop down, you want to take in the different forms. If not, then you want to skip that form. So this is basically for that.
Yeah.
And where you can write the script. So if you go to the form option, if you go down, there is a custom JavaScript section here where you can write your own business logic like scripting and all. If something is not working out of box. Yeah.
How would you then hook this project to the box button? Say that run this script rather than
Yeah, so the
condition.
so there are few things whenever you are writing a JavaScript. So the first question is like, can we change the business logic what is already written on click of next? So that answer is no, because it's a SaaS based platform. Whatever Microsoft has written behind this button, you cannot change it. But sometimes you have you have to handle that control, right? So for that, Microsoft has given two types of script, so that I can show that client side script. This is the one. So you have to write this script, this one. Okay. So what this is doing is, this is basically doing server side validation, not client side validation. Okay. Sometimes you have to do some server side validations as well. So this code runs on the server side. So whenever, for example, like if, uh, for example, if the preferred mode of contact is email, then the email field should be mandatory, something like that, if you have a requirement. So if the user has not selected the email, then they should get the error message when they select next. So of course, this logic is not written in the server side code. So you can override that. Not override, you can include your own code in that. So this is called a client side script validation. So you will find it here. This is also a general validation. So whenever you return false like this, whenever you return false, it automatically show the error message, whatever you have shown here, like email is a required field. So you need to copy this whole code and only need to change this condition here. So here, for example, like using the jQuery, this code is getting the preferred method code value from the form control. And if it is not an email, then it is showing the error message, return false, else return true. Okay, this is how you can write the code. Like copy this code and just go back here and then can paste it here. So this is a basically DOM, document object model code. So you have to use this kind of code, not XRM model. All right. So there are a lot of properties you can check here. So whenever you create your own or you do your own practice, I would recommend like see other properties as well. For example, uh, start new session on load. So for example, like I have filled only first step and close my browser, and I will come back after 1 week to fill up the form. So it will always start where I left off. So this is only possible whenever you are selecting this option, start session, load to yes. Okay. No, sorry, no. If you do it yes, then every time whenever you will come to the form, it will start from the first step only. Okay. So sorry.
So you could say a form going back to
So basically, it actually stores in the session. So you can see there is a session table, that is internal table. So like this contact has created the personal information, right? So this basically capture the details. So whenever Arpit is again going back to the portal, it will check like what is the current session information. And based
on assume the settings log that out.
Hmm.
If you save the form going back on the next day or the day following,
Yeah.
the setting won't be there.
Yes.
So presume there's no save form functions within.
No, I didn't get.
So I mean, the session is will have come out. If you drop out, come back next day,
Yeah.
it won't pick up the same session. Or you will stay.
You have to save at least in order to save that information, right? For example, like it's not that you have just filled the information and closed the form. You have to at least save it to the dataverse. It's not a auto save kind of in the that happens in the model driven app, right? You don't need to even save it, it automatically save in the dataverse.
If I'm in that session,
Yeah.
same, and then you come back in the future,
Yeah.
So if you state the same cookie, then you go back to the same session. It's not cookie related.
No, it's not cookie. It's actually capturing in the session table. So for example, like I have filled only first step. I have closed that, and next day I use maybe mobile or some other devices, right? So it's not related to the cookies or local storage. Okay, so you can this is also a requirement, like this is steps we are showing here on the top. Sometimes your client wants to change that. So here couple of options you can find it, like you want to show the progress indicator, and you can show the position on the top, bottom, left or right. So you can adjust that as well. If I select to left, then that steps will show it in the left panel. And if you want to show the numeric step, like so that you customer will know like, okay, how many steps are there, or you want to show only the progress bar, so it will show how many percentage of the form you have filled it. So it's up to you, like what kind of property you want to enable. Display save changes warning on the close. So if user is trying to accidentally closing it, so you can show the warning message by mentioning here. Okay, so this is one of the example of that.
Yes. Well, big. That complex when say this.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now let's check. So this is a form and the list. Let's see like some of the example of content snippet. Okay, because most of the time, whenever you're designing a website, you have to deal with the content. Now for the demonstration, I have just taken a small example. Like if I go back to my home page. Remove one from here. Okay, so imagine this is the home page where I'm showing a lot of content. Like this is just a greeting message I'm showing. Okay, it could be anything that you want to show it on your website. Here I'm showing some more content just for the sample purpose. Okay, this part I will cover it later. So I'm just talking about the content here. Also, I'm changing the content and all. So how you can manage the content in the Power Pages side. So there is a component called content snippet. Okay, so where you have to keep your all kind of content. So content snippet has two advantage. The first purpose is if you have to store the content. So for that purpose, you have to use it. Sometime you have to use the reusable code in the portal. Okay. Imagine like you are writing a code for email validation. Okay. Now in this email validation, that email field control ID can be changed, but the logic will remain same to make it required or something like that. So being a developer, what you can do it, you can create a content snippet. Whatever snippet code you have, that you can keep it reusable. You can keep it in the content snippet, and you can refer it in your JavaScript or web template wherever you are creating. So whenever you create a new content snippet, just click here to provide the name, website in to which you want to associate, display name, and the type. So there are two types of content snippet you can create: text or HTML. So if it's just a simple content or text message you want to show, just select a text. Now, you may have this question like, why should I keep that in the content snippet only? The reason being, it is associated with the language as well. Okay, because you may have the multilingual portal. So you may not want to do the if else condition in your JavaScript or in your code to conditionally change the language of the content or the text messages, right? So for example, you have to throw an error message. So instead of writing down in the JavaScript code, keep it here, so that in the future, if you want to change that text message, you can change it here. It might be possible that during the creation of the portal, you may have not multiple languages enabled, but after 1 year or 2 year, your client asks to enable the portal for multiple regions or multiple languages. So that time you cannot go and check in your code and remove the hard coded text strings and all. So it's a good practice that from the beginning of the development, you always have to start with the content snippet if you are dealing with some hard coded strings, messages, content and all. Okay. So for example, you see like I have designed this home page. Come here. Now I have designed this home page, and this home page is completely designed using HTML, JavaScript, Liquid, CSS, the combination of everything. I'll cover that part later, that how I've used the Liquid and all. But I have created a content. I'll go to the. So first I'll show you like. Okay, so if you have to, first thing is that if you have to customize the home page of the Power Pages site, where you have to go that. So you will first go to the web page. Okay, and here you will find a page called home. Here it is. And the home page can just come down. Okay, one thing I can also show you here, like whenever you create a page, I shown you in the slide deck, you will have a localized content. Right here you can see I have enabled 4 languages in my Power Pages environment. In this environment, so it is showing 4 child pages. Okay, so this is the main root page, home, and these are the 4 child pages. So if you have any logic or if you have any code that is specific to that particular language, you can just open that and do it there. It will not impact the other languages pages. Okay, so let me open the English one. And if you can just come down, you see there is a HTML code is written here. It's just nothing. It's just a simple HTML code. Just ignore these kind of syntaxes. I'll cover that later because this is basically a syntax of Liquid code. Okay, as I said, like portal support the Liquid code. So is it just a simple HTML? You can generate it from by testing it from another browser and all, and do that. Now here it is not that user friendly. So what you can do, you can go to the Designer Studio, click on the home, click on edit code as Victor mentioned. So click on the Opal Visual Studio Code and it will take you to that web version of VS Code. So it will be easy to edit the code and all. And you can see in the left panel there is a Copilot is also available, right? So if you need some help to write the script or HTML and all, you can simply click here and ask the Copilot to do that. Yeah. So this is my whole HTML looks like. Now in this HTML, if I can go back to my home page. Yeah. So first of all, I'm just greeting the customer with the name. Okay. Now this name is coming dynamically. If someone else is login, the name will be different. Okay. So how you can do that? You can do that using Liquid code. So yeah. You see, like this is the Liquid code syntax I'm using. User dot first name. Okay, so mostly whenever you are writing a Liquid code, I'm not going to discuss more complex logic of Liquid code. You can find it from the MS documentation, but I'll just show you some simple example and will showcase you like what is the significance of it. So if first use case is whenever you need to get the logged in user information, because sometimes if you have to write some kind of business logic, you need to get the logged in user information, not only the basic details like first name, email, the last name, but also you want to know what is the role assigned to the current user, what is the role of the web, the logged in user, whether the user is logged in or they are not logged in. Okay, so here you can see like I'm checking if user. This simply check if the user is logged in or not. Okay, if user, that means if user is logged in, then show this message, hey, user dot first name. So this user is nothing, it is just a contact, the logged in contact. So whenever you put dot, it will retrieve the data from your logged in contact record from the Dataverse. And it's not only for the out of box columns like first name, last name, you can pull it from the custom columns as well. Yeah. Okay. If the user is logged in, then show the name. If user is not logged in, that means go to the else and show hello anonymous user. Okay. So just to showcase, if I just log out, you see like that message gone and the new message coming, hello anonymous user. Okay, so this is the one example of liquid code if you have to dynamically change the logged in user information. Another example. Now I'll talk about this content. Okay, now I'm using this HTML line called h2 header 2, but instead of hard coding the value, I could have hard code that as well. I'm using this liquid syntax, snippets, home, greeting, and title. So this is just the name of my snippet I have created. Okay, so snippet is what that I have just created. So just copy this, go to the snippet, content snippet. As I told, like all the text hard coded string, we should keep it in the content snippet. Search that. You will see like I have created four different snippet for four different languages. Okay, if I just open that. So this display name and this name, you can keep it simple as well, because I have just kept it because I have different you know titles and the subtitles. So I just use the slash, but it's up to you. You are allowed to use any name. It should be meaningful. That's it. And select the type as text and just provided this option. Okay. So so how to use that in my code? I'll go here. Just simply use the keyword snippets and just provide the name of my snippet. So it will automatically pull that text string from that content snippet. Now, the thing is that my language is English. Imagine the Swedish customer logged in on the portal. Okay, so it will automatically go to the content snippet and will open will get this information from the Swedish content snippet. So this is the advantage of using that. I don't care about, I don't care about putting if and else condition. I don't need to care about what is the language of the logged in user. It will automatically pull from the content snippet. So in the similar way, I have used the snippet home greeting description. They can create different content snippet and all. Now, as I said earlier, it's not only to store the text string, you can also keep the HTML as well, because as you've seen, it has the way to store the HTML as well. So if you have some reusable HTML code, and of course you can write the script as well by just putting the script tag, and you can simply, if you're writing this code and you already have 100 line of code written in the content snippet, you can just simply include that here, right? So it's quite important from the reusability perspective as well. All right, so this is the one example. Now the advantage of liquid template is that since the code that I'm writing it in the web page component. Okay. The content I'm getting it from the content snippet. So both are different tables. So in the Dataverse, usually we need to write a query if you have to retrieve the data from different tables. But here the liquid code help you to directly pull that information from different component, right? I'm writing the code in the web page. You can see this is a home page, web page, but I'm pulling the information from content snippet. So this is a separate table. So this is the advantage of using liquid code. You can dynamically pull the information from portal other components. Now it's not only about the content snippet. You can pull the information from the other components as well. So let me take an example. Let me check whether that's working. If I just go down, okay, let me log in first. Security. Then if I go to the site settings, okay. So we have seen the example how you can dynamically pull the information from liquid template, okay, of logged in users. Second example, we have seen how you can pull the information from content snippets to dynamically show the content. Now, third thing we want to show is the example of site setting. Okay, I talked about the site setting during the slide deck. It is basically used to turn on or turn off the feature on the portal. So if I can head over to the site setting from the left panel, you see there are a lot of settings are already there. Some of the settings, even most of the settings comes out of box. You don't need to, create the site setting by your own. You just need to true and false, turn on or turn off based on your need. Okay. So here are the list of site setting. Now imagine like you want to disable the registration from the portal. Okay, just a simple setting. Currently, if you go here, I just take it. Oh no, I don't. Oh, it's cool.
Everyone can hear okay, right?
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Okay, so you see here, there is a registration option is there, but sometimes your client wants like we don't want to show the registration option. Okay, so you don't need to write any kind of a script to hide that. You just go to the site setting and just find that there is already a default site setting available. Registration enabled true. Okay, if I change this setting to false, that registration option will be removed from that portal. So this is one example. So you can see like there are a lot of site settings are there. Some of the are true or false, and some of them are related to some other kind of settings. So for example, if I open any existing one, it has only two values: name, that is a key, and value is a it's a key value pair basically. There is nothing else. Okay, now being a developer, I can also use the site setting for my own development perspective as well. I don't know like what other portal developer use it, but based on my development experience in the portal, we can also use site setting for our own development as well. How we can do that? So for example, like if I go to the portal, you have seen like I am showing a lot of events here, right? I'm showing a lot of events here, but there is no registration option right now. Okay, I want like I want to hide and show that registration option for the event uh, based on the site setting, because for example, like after certain days of time, your event organizers say like, okay, close the registration. Okay, so you will not go to the JavaScript code and remove that register button from the code, right? You always want to keep it dynamic. So how I can do that? I have created my own site setting. Okay, so you can see here, I have created my own site setting here. So Power Guide enables session registration, and I just kept this value to false. If I change it to true, think the changes. So now you see the register option is there. So I'm hiding show the register button. This is just an example. Okay, you can use it as per your business need as well. So I'll go to my code where I'm writing the HTML. Here it is. And wherever I'm showing the register button, I can just go down. Get this fine register. Yeah. So this is the HTML code that actually render that button on the page. Okay. Now, before rendering it, what I'm doing it, I'm just checking the settings. This is the keyword using that. I can check the setting value, and this is the name of that setting. The same like the content snippet. In the case of snippet, I have just put the keyword snippet and the name of the snippet. This is the setting, and I just captured it in the variable. So this is the way how you capture the variable value in the liquid. It's a bit different syntax. You can get it from the MS documentation as well. And here it is a thing like if you imagine you don't, if you have deleted that site setting accidentally, or if that site setting doesn't exist, so you want to set the default value to true as well. Okay. So you have defined this and you are checking here if so registration is true, then only render this button, else don't render that button. So this is how, being a developer, you can write your code and effectively use the component of the portal. Okay. You could have, directly write this button ID as well, but that makes your life not easier, right? If you have to change anything, you have to come to the code and you have to change everything. So this is the example. This is a complete example of how you effectively you can use the liquid template syntax. Okay. So you can see here I have used this as well. Now one more example I can show you. Okay, so one more example I can show you of liquid is redirection. Okay, for example, like you have this welcome link and you want like whenever user clicks on this link, they will be redirected to a particular page. So what you will usually do, you will write a hype, you will put the hyperlink right in your code. So you can do that as well. But to make it dynamic, what you can do it, you can create a site markers. So there is a component in the portal called site markers, and it's just a property that actually link you to the to a particular web page. For example, if you create a new site markers, uh, let's say call for speaker maybe. Okay, select your website, and here you need to select your web page. Okay, so I want like whenever user click on that site, they will should be redirected to the call for a speaker page. So here I can select a page. So imagine I just select this. Okay, call for a speaker like this. Okay, and save it. Now, whenever I have to redirect my user to the call for speaker page, no matter whether it's on the button click or hyperlink or from anywhere on the portal, the one option is I can simply use the partial URL of it, because this partial URL, uh, you have to redirect to the partial URL every time you have to register for like this. I think something is wrong here. I can show the example like this. So if you go to the call for a speaker, right? So this part is the partial URL of the web page. Okay, partial URL means the unique identifier of that page. So if I have to redirect user to this page, I have to copy this and write it down in my anchor tag or in the button clicks, right? Imagine someone has changed the partial URL in the future, so your code will break. So instead of hard coding that name of the page, you can refer or redirect user based on the site markers. Okay, so since I have linked this page with the site markers, right? So site marker is not going to change because this I have created. Whatever changes on this page, I don't care because I will only refer by the site marker. So if you can check like in the code, if I've used somewhere, if you can check like I have used any site markers here.
Yeah.
Huh? Find it. Yeah, please, here it is. So here you can see I just use the keyword site markers, and here is the name of my site marker and .url. So this will give me the web page URL. Nowhere I have hard coded the page. Now, developer or anyone change in the name and all, it doesn't matter actually. It will not break my code. So you can use it in the anchor tag, or if you have written any script where you are using the button click event, you can also do that as well. So this is the example, or this is the advantage of using liquid template code in your HTML and all. Okay. One last example I wanted to give you, and that is one of the most common use case, is the fetch XML. Okay. So here on the home page, you see like I'm showing the list of events. Okay. Yeah. So if I go to the home, you see there are a list of events I am showing here. So how can I display this kind of UI? So it might be possible, like in your case, you are showing some application registration or any use case you have, and you want to display the information like this. So I don't want to discuss about the HTML, CSS and all. I just want to concentrate on the fetch XML. So since I have to retrieve this information from the Dataverse, so how I can write the fetch XML? So first, I'll just head over to my model driven app. Click here. So everyone is aware about the fetch XML and all, right? How to generate, how to use the advanced find and all, right? Or okay, good. So fetch XML is one of the best way you can generate your query quickly. Uh, in my last 2-day session, I've also discussed about in the PL400, like there are numerous way in the Dataverse to retrieve the data, like query expressions, link queue. But fetch XML is much better because it helps you create the query, the complex queries, especially the link queues. Especially the joint tables, the related tables. So you can easily generate a query, download the fetch XML. You can use them in the Power Automate, and you can use them on the portal as well.
In the snippet, you have editable snippet. What's that? What's the difference?
Sorry, where?
In the code that you have.
Here?
No, you know, the HTML code is displayed. Yeah, there's a line 19.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's a good question, actually. So snippets and editable snippets. So as you know, like snippet we have created in the portal management app. Okay. But sometimes what you want, like whenever you created the snippet, you directly want to change that snippet from the design studio as well. You want to make it editable. So you can directly make the changes from the design studio. So that's why this editable keyword is. If you remove this keyword, you will not be able to edit that from the design studio.
Is it the original?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so if I select the events, so we are actually creating the fetch XML to retrieve all the events from the Dataverse, and we'll show it to in the liquid template. So event, I guess. So here is the table called Power Guide Events. And for example, like I want to show information like the title of the event, uh, the start date. So these two information I am looking for. So I can only get this information if I am including that in my fetch XML. So just click on the edit column, and whatever column you want to retrieve it in your fetch XML, just include that. So event name and created on is already there. So I don't want to put any condition, but if you want, you can put the condition as well, like show only the published event. So sometimes in your organization, you may have the events where it is still in the approval stage, but you want to show it on the published events only, right? So you can put the condition, whatever you want, download that. open that fetch XML, copy it like this. Okay. Now go back to, there is a option called web templates. Okay. You can see something. Okay. Interesting. Okay. And if I okay, so I've created this web template. I'll tell you later like why I have created that in the web template, because uh, whenever you design the portal or whenever you write the code, you always look for like um, where I can create the reusable component. So there are two only components that helps you reuse your code. So for example, like this is the fetch XML. I may use this fetch XML on the multiple pages. Okay, so better to keep it in the web template, and I can include that in the different other templates as well. Now you may ask this question like you already discussed about the content snippet as well. So you can keep it in the content snippet, but you can keep it in the web template. So both are fine. Okay. There is no basic difference, because sometimes people use the content snippet only to keep the content, not the HTML and all. But web template should be used because web template is basically the coding specific component, but content snippet is basically language specific component, because whenever you created the content, it has a language lookup, right? But here in the web template, you don't have any kind of language and all. So from the coding perspective or writing reusable code perspective, you should always use the web template, but you can also use the content snippet as well. Okay, but I always go with the web template, because the code written in the one web template can be referred in the another web template as well. How it is possible? So for example, like in order to design this home page, I want to retrieve this all the events. Okay, so and I also want to do this kind of designing CSS and HTML and all. So sometimes your code get too large, right, to maintain. So you can split it into multiple web templates. Okay, so what I've done it, I have created a web template just to keep this fetch XML part. See, right? So if I have to ever change the fetch XML, or if I have to add any columns here, I don't want to go in a single template to change all the things. I will come here and change the fetch XML. Okay, so this is just wanted to give an example. So I have put the fetch XML here. You can see whole fetch XML, but you need to put it inside this particular liquid syntax fetch XML my query. Okay, so the whole fetch XML should be included inside this, so that it will be considered as a liquid code. Okay, now I want to include this web template into the different web template. That is my home page, right? So if I go back to my home page, you see like I just need to use the keyword include in order to include that fetch XML in my, uh, either it's a web template or it's a web page also. Okay, it's not only required that one web template should be included in the another web template. You can include in the web page as well. You can include in the content snippet as well. You just need to use the include keyword. All right. So I just included that. That means this fetch XML has been included. Now, if I just go down, you see like I'm using the for loop, because this fetch XML will give me the result in the form of collection, right? I will get the collection of events. So I always have to loop through them. So I use the for loop and my query dot results dot entities. where this my query came, you can see like this fetch XML is stored in this variable called my query. Okay, so that's why I use this my query. Uh, dot results means the collection of results, and dot entities will give me the all the event data. So this is the syntax you have to use if you have to get the collection of data from your fetch XML. And then you have to loop through that. And if you want to get so one by one, you have to get the name of the event, the images that I'm using, and the date. So you can see like I have used the HTML for all the particular element. I've used the variable result dot. This is the name of the attribute. Okay, if I don't include this attribute in my fetch XML, it will give me the error. So make sure like whatever attribute you want to fetch it, you want to show it in your code, you must include in that your fetch XML here. Okay. So I'm using the event name, and this is the start date. And then this is the setting. Based on that, I'm doing turn on and off, and that's it. And this is the event banner image URL I'm using. So this is just a file type of column I'm using in the Dataverse to keep my images and all. Like in the Dataverse, we have a column called image type nowadays, right? File and image type. So I can keep that as well. So this will loop through all the images, sorry, all the events, and will render it in the form of HTML. See, so I have total 6 events. And if you want to show the count, so how I can show the count? So just go again to my liquid. My query.result.entity.size. So sometimes you have to get the count of that record as well. So if the count is greater than 0, then do this. If it is not greater than 0, then do that. Sometimes your business logic also surround with that. So you can get the count with this. Okay. Now, one important thing is here is that sometimes you write the fetch XML, but you don't get the result. What could be the reason for that? Can anyone answer? Sorry.
Question.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened is because whenever you use any table in the design studio, you will get the notification. Okay, please enable the permission. But whenever you are writing the code directly in the VS Code, you don't get any sort of permissions notifications, and you end up facing a lot of issues, and you struggle a lot, or you troubleshoot a lot. You don't find right where exactly the issue is, because your fetch XML is correct and all. So I personally faced this issue when I started writing code in the portal long before. So basically, whenever you are querying something, you make sure that first enable the permission. Okay, otherwise you will get the result called -1, not even 0. So if you want to troubleshoot and you want to get the count, if you are getting the count in minus, like -1, it indicates that you don't have permission. If you are getting the count 0, that means you have the permission, but the record is not there. Okay, so this is how you can identify basically. And this HTML and all, I don't want to discuss, because that you can also write it. But the main thing is that how you can make it dynamic. So this is how you can use the liquid, and there are plenty of example you can find on the MS Docs related to the liquid. But these are the one of the quite common requirements that you will face it when you will do the portal development. Okay, so app. Yeah.
When you say the permissions, is this for the portal user permission or not?
Contacts. Exactly.
Contacts.
Yeah. Right, because uh, in the portal, user doesn't matter basically. There is no user in the picture on the portal. There is an we're talking about this user. Okay, so if I go here, center. So here you see all the users available in your environment, right? So there are two types of users, either physical users or the service principal or the application user. So if you can select the application user list, you see like my portal is This is my portal, right? So this is the name of my portal, and this is the application user it has created. So this user basically works in the background, okay, to establish the communication, but it's nothing to do with the license or security or nothing, right? Everything works in the context of contact. So for example, like I logged in on the portal. If the logged in user doesn't have access on the event table, or the contact doesn't have access on the event table, I cannot access the events. I need to provide that. And now you have a question like, I have 1,000 contacts. How I can provide all the 1,000 contacts? No, that's why I told like in the you don't give the roles based on the name. Same like in the security roles. In the Dataverse, you have to individually go to the user to provide the security roles, right? But here you don't need to provide to individual contacts. There is a property called authenticated user. I shown you, right? So if you go here and any permission you give it, for example, table permission. So for example, accounts, okay? And here the web role is authenticated user.
That's the web role, yeah.
Exactly. So all the users who are authenticated on the portal, it will applicable for them. Now, the tricky thing is that sometimes you don't want to apply the security for all the authenticated user, right? For example, like if the event organizer is logged in on the portal, they should see some different things. Or if the participants are logged in, they should see the different things. Okay. So in that case, you can create your own role as well. So if you go to the manage roles, you have the capability to create the custom roles as well. Okay. So this is just to provide the more granular level of security, because sometimes you don't want like all the authentication users should see the everything, right? So in that case, you can do the authenticated user segregations as well.
So if we say with different web role, you will see different event lists. Is there any way you can establish that dynamic into the FetchXML?
No, I didn't get you.
So, for example, if I log in as a staff member,
Okay.
I see the staff related events. If
Okay.
I log in as a student,
Yeah,
I see the student related events.
yeah.
You build in that dynamics into the FetchXML in terms of return events based on the web role.
You know, the user object, they return what role you.
See, so your data is stored in a single table, no matter who is logging on the portal. Okay. For example, like you have an event table in the Dataverse. If the staff member is login, they see 10 records.
Yep.
And if the, let's say, attendees are login, they see the same table but 5 records, right? So it depends on the permission that is not related to the role. Okay, because what kind of permission you have given to them. So for example, that's why this table permission is linked with the web role. Okay, for example, like if I go here and imagine I'm not using the authenticated. Okay, you have the staff member role. Okay, so for a staff member, I will select a global access here. So if the staff member logged in on the portal, they can see all the events. Okay, and I will create a new permission. And in that new permission, I will provide a contact access and will associate that particular attendee role, whatever I'm creating. So for example, I will give you the example of SharePoint integration. Okay. In the SharePoint integration, whenever you provide the document upload features, for few users, you want to show the document upload option. But for few user, you don't want to give them the document upload option, right? So for example, if event organizer is login, they can upload a lot of documents on the sessions and the events and all. But if the participants are login, they should not be able to upload any document. So for that thing, you are enabling the permission on the same table, but you can distinguish them using basic web roles. So one table permission you can give them upload option, and one table permission you don't give them the upload option.
Sorry, just not quite follow the first scenarios. When you say it's different web roles can see the different number record.
Yeah.
But your permission here is a table level permission.
Yes.
But that's more indicate you have a row level permissions.
It's a table level permission. There is no specific row level permission. You apply at the table level, right?
where you select. If you scroll back up,
Yeah.
say global access. So
Yeah.
that means for this linked web role, you
Exactly.
need to be able to see all record in this particular table.
Exactly.
But if the access type is like now is selected to be contact access,
Yeah.
then it's linked to
Contact.
if the record is linked to the contact.
To contact. Exactly. With the table. Just take the example of case. Okay. You have created a case from the portal and that case is linked with a contact. Okay. So if I will log in, I will always see the case that is linked with my contact. Okay. But if if you want, but you are my manager. Okay. And when you log in on the portal, you want to see my cases, my colleagues' cases, everyone cases. So in that case, I will create a new permission. And in that permission, I will give global access and the web role that is assigned to my manager, I will associate here.
So that would be maybe a
Manager role, something like that. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying like this authenticated user applies for all the logged in user. But whenever you have to distinguish like service manager and the service person, both are authenticated. But service manager should see all the tickets, but service person should see only his tickets. And both are linked to the same table. So you have to create two different permissions and you have to keep two different web roles, right? So one permission will associate with one web role that is assigned to your manager and one permission that is assigned to your different web role and that is assigned to your service manager, service person, like that.
It's not.
Yeah, that's also a good question because whenever you use these roles like authenticated, anonymous, and administrator, you don't need to assign these roles manually because that works automatically. Like anonymous means you are not logged in, it is anonymous. But whenever you create custom roles, you have to assign them. Okay, so for that, Microsoft has provided workflows also, internal workflows that so that you can automate that as well. Okay. So I have given this example when I was showing the invitation process. Okay. Exactly. Exactly. So you see, like if I create a contact and I'm inviting them to register on my portal, for example, this, if I create an invitation, you see, execute workflow on redeeming contact. That means if you want to automate giving the web roles, because if you have the custom web role, you have to automatically assign them or manually assign them. So you can trigger this workflow, and Microsoft has provided you a custom workflow already that actually help you to assign that web role. So let me show you that as well. That's quite good question actually. So if I go here to training, collect process, automation, process, workflow. Let me call it assign web roles. Okay. Great. And you can do it in the workflow and you can do it in the Power Automate as well. Okay. It's not that you have to create here. Well, so if you go here and you find like there is a lot of workflows are there related to AD Studio because it is still shows the AD Studio name. Hopefully you will get here, not here, then okay, portals. You see there are workflow like assign web roles. Okay, associate web roles. I think you can remove that as well. Yeah, you have to use this one, associate and the de-associate. Sometimes you have to associate or based on some condition, you have to remove the web roles as well, right? So this is the way how you can automatically send. And I was talking about the send invitation as well. So you can see there is a send invitation process as well. So all these are the out of box workflows given by Microsoft, and you can simply call them from the Power Automate as well. As you can see, like we recommend using Microsoft Flow instead of background flow. So Microsoft also recommend that. So I also recommend that, whatever you are doing, do it in the Power Automate, because no one knows that Microsoft deprecate this, background processes.
One to many relationship then contact developers or one-to-ones.
No, it's a N is to N actually. N is to N. Because one
Many to
contact, yeah, many to many, because one contact can have multiple web roles, and one web roles can be assigned to the multiple contacts. Yeah.
And also by default, if we don't assign any custom web roles, by default they'll just
Authenticated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
authenticate.
By default, they will be either authenticated or the anonymous. Yes.
Just the way they design these roles, you have
Exactly.
access for the authenticated.
Yeah, I have done a lot of implementation where we have to automatically assign the web roles. So we were doing that, when we are sending them the invitation, when they are accepting the invitation, or they are registering on the portal, we are assigning them immediately the web roles. Okay, and in the contacts where you can see that, just go back to the contact record, and you want to check like what web roles they have. So for example, open this, go to related tab, and here you have the web roles. Okay, and here you can see all the list of web roles if you have the custom one. Okay, now this is the one way of security, table permissions and the web role. There is one more common feature on the portal is, um, you want to hide and show the pages as well. Okay, for example, like uh, I have a button called this view event, and when I click on this button, first thing is that I want to hide and show this view event toolbar based on the roles. Okay, so that comes with the feature called web page access rule. So how you can do that? If you have to apply the security on the page level. So whenever you have created the page here, you see like, for example, I have a document page. And whenever you create the page, go to the page setting, and here is a permission option. And this permission will tell you anyone can see this page, or I want to choose who can see this page. So if you select this, you can select a role from here. And if you have the custom role, then you can select that. Then this page will be always visible to that user that contact who has this particular role. And if that page is linked with a web link, then that web link will be also hide and show based on that. It's two different thing, right? Because your page can be independent, or your page can be linked with a toolbar button. Okay, so if it is linked with a toolbar button, then that toolbar button will also be hidden. Okay, so one common use case, like the portal that I'm currently working is, they have a form. Okay, there is an onboarding form, and the user is filling up the form, and they submit the information to the database, and there is a approval process goes on in the back end. So until that record status is approved, you don't want to show all the links on the portal. Once that data is approved, then only you want to show different options like invoices and other things. So this is helpful in that case. So you want to you will not assign that web role until that particular record is approved. As soon as that record status change to approve, you will write a Power Automate, assign that user to that web role, so they will start using or start seeing those links on the portal. Yeah, so these kind of requirements you will get it. So if you have to hide and show the links, then use the web page access role. Or if you have to, you may have the standalone pages as well. For example, like I'm going to the home page, and whenever I click on, so if I click on this link, it will be taken me to the to a web page. Now that web page is not linked with any of this toolbar link. So that is also one way you want to hide, you want to apply the security. Okay. All right. Okay, what else I can show to you? Let me.
Attention, please. Please leave the building immediately. Please leave the building immediately by the nearest exit. Do not use the lift.
Okay, so now let me show you like how to do the Cloudflow integration with the Power Pages. Okay, so there are a couple of ways. See, like if I go back to my portal, see, so earlier whenever we have to whenever we have to insert the data into the Dataverse, we only had two options: forms and the basic forms and the multi-step forms, because that only allows you to submit the data into the Dataverse, all right? And in order to retrieve the data, you had the option called list that shows the list of data. We already demonstrated, right? But imagine your customer wants, like, I want to create a custom editables upgrade or custom tables, and I want to control over like create the data, update the delete the data. I think I have created on like something like this. Not sure whether it's working or not. Yeah. So see, like I have created an editable subgrid on the portal, and it is nothing to do with the list or the forms that we have just discussed. Okay, this is completely customization. So here I want to provide the add event option where I can open up the pop-up form to fill up the data. I can directly delete that. I can directly edit the information like this. So how you can do that? So in that case, you have to have some kind of API that interact with the Dataverse and can submit your data. You can retrieval of the data. So I'm not going to demonstrate that because that will take a lot of time. You can refer the MS Docs, but you must aware about there is a API called Portal Web API. Okay, and that Portal Web API basically allows you to interact with the Dataverse directly. So if you ever have a requirement to create any HTML grid or any custom forms, and you have to insert the data into Dataverse, then Portal Web API is the one option. Another option is the Cloudflow integration. Okay, for example, like Cloudflow, I can show you because it's a low code, no code way. Okay, so imagine we have these events options available. And what I want to do is whenever user click on the register, I want to do the event registration for the user. Okay, and since the user is already logged in, I will not ask his personal details like first name, last name, and all. Whenever I will click on the register, it will create an entry in the Dataverse and will generate a unique registration number and will show it to the user. Okay, for example, like I will click on this. Hopefully it's working. Perfect. So it called the Cloudflow in the backend. It gives me the message registration successful and generated an ID called event registration ID. Okay. And if we can go back to my solution here, Power Guide registration. Yeah, so this is the one that I've recently did the registration. Now, how you can integrate the Power Pages, the Cloudflow, and you can call the Cloudflow from the Power Pages because it's quite a low code, no code way. So click OK. So since this code I have written on the home page, right? Because this is a home page. So this is the home page. I have already opened it here. Now, so in order to call that Power Automate from the portal, first of all, I need to create that Cloudflow, right? How many of you have already created the Power Automate or Cloudflow? I think almost everyone, yeah. So let's go and I've already created that, so we'll not recreate again, but we'll show you that how to do that. So click on the setup in the design studio, and here is an option called cloud flow. Okay, so you can directly click here to start creating a cloud flow, or you can create outside the design studio as well. So whenever you create a new flow, so when you click cloud flow, you get a connector called Power Pages now. This one, yeah. So this connector basically asks you when Power Pages calls a flow. So this is only the trigger point it is, because it's going to be triggered from the Power Pages, right? So when you select this, it expects some input, but it's not mandatory. So if you select add an input, you can provide 4 types of input. So this input you can pass it from the Power Pages whenever you are calling it. Uh, then you can do all kind of business logic. You can use whatever connector you want to use. Once you've done that, then the last you can use again Power Pages connector, and then use return value to Power Pages. Take the input from the Power Pages, do the processing, whatever you want, and then again you return the output in 4 different formats. Okay, so this is the advantage of using Power Pages. It's a low code, no code way. Now, how I have created the Power Pages. So it clicks whenever I click on the registration, it takes the input from the Power Pages, like the name of the logged in user, first name, last name, email address, along with the event on which he clicked, right? Because he wanted to click on a particular event or register. So the ID of that event, because in the back end, event is a different table. So the ID of that event, and then I'm using the Dataverse connector to insert the data in the event registration table, and then generate a registration ID. And as an output, I'm returning the registration ID. This is the whole thing I'm doing. So let's go back and see like what I'm doing it in my Power Automate. Click at it. So earlier when the Power Automate was not there, you used to write the portal web app. Yeah.
Put the time box measure in this sense, like it's be running before a certain amount of time the page expects a response and it just comes.
No, there is no timeout as such, because Power Automate is asynchronous. So you cannot expect the immediate response, of course. So mostly it's a non-real. Yeah, it will wait for that, but it will not hang your application. Same like the plugin. Because if it is like in the case of plugin, you are writing it as synchronous, it will hang your screen until your business logic runs in the background. But since it's a asynchronous, being a developer, you have to have a better way to show some kind of message to the user, like please wait while the registration is going on. Sometimes you can show the loader messages as well. But I don't say like it's a asynchronous in case of Power Pages. It's a near real time basically. Why? Because whenever you submit the data to Dataverse, and then your Power Automate triggers after that event occurs, then it takes time because it goes in the queue. But here the flows are instant. Okay. For example, whenever I click on the button, it immediately calls that flow instance to me. So it will not go in the queue. How many users are clicked on that, it will not go in the queue. It will immediately trigger. Now it's up to the logic that you are using, or the connector you are using can take time. But I personally use in many projects like uploading the file, parsing the file. It takes few seconds. Like in one of my project, what I'm doing it right. Customer upload the PDF files from the portal, and I actually collect the byte stream from that file, upload it to the SharePoint, get the download link, and return it back to the Power Pages site so that user can upload it and get a link to download that immediately on their local machine as well. So that takes few seconds of time. It not takes, a minutes. You have to wait for it. So that is my experience basically. So if I can just go to my flow. Yeah. So this is my flow looks like. It's a trigger point where I'm expecting the event ID and first name, last name, email address, and the contact who has actually clicked on that particular link. OK, so 5 parameters I'm expecting. Then I will use the get contact connector to get the contact information. OK, because I want to link that while creating a registration record. And then I'm getting the event because from portal you can get the GUID or the unique ID of that record. And then here in the table create registration, just mapping all the things like I'm mapping the contacts, I'm mapping the the events. OK, and once I'm doing that, I'm just returning the registration number. And this registration number, I have nothing. It's just a auto number field I've created. OK, just for the testing purpose. And here I've returned that. OK, so you can see like the flow instant just ran 7 minutes ago. How did that work? OK, you see like I got the information like event ID, first name, last name, email address, and this is the contact ID. I got the contact of this contact. I got the event and I returned the registration number. Now, how my JavaScript code looks like, because this is just a Power Pages. How can I call that? OK, so once your Power Automate is ready, you can link that Power Automate in your Design Studio. Go back. Just click the add existing flow. If you have not created from here, if you have created outside the Design Studio, just click add existing flow, search your flow from here, and then add it. One important thing is that once you add your flow to your Design Studio, you get a unique URL associated with that. So this is just an endpoint kind of things, the API endpoint kind of things that you will use it in your script to call that flow. An important thing is that this flow is basically linked with your web role. Earlier, the problem was that there was no kind of role associated with that. If someone get this URL or the endpoint, they could have also call it from their, outside the Dataverse and could have get the access of Dataverse. So to avoid doing that, Microsoft has introduced this role option. But still, I actually told this thing to the product group, like still like there is no granular security here. For example, like I don't want to call that all the authentication users should call this flow. So in that case, there is no security. It will currently work for all the authenticated user. So Microsoft has committed like they are working on that. So in a short time, you will get the more granular level of security here. So that from the authenticated user also you can distinguish like for them it should work or for others it should not work. Okay, so once you get this URL, let me go back to my code. Yeah, if I go down. So I want to call this Power Automate on click of register button. Okay, so I already have the register button I shown you. Here it is. This is the register button that we are showing on the portal. And here I'm calling this event on click event. And if I go down, so this is the URL I'm using that we have captured it from there. And this is just a container we am creating. And here we are passing the first name, last name, email, contact, event, everything. And you see like I'm getting the liquid code here to get the logged in user information to pass it. OK, so user.first name, I'm passing it to the first name parameter, last name, email, contact ID is giving the logged in user ID. And this is the ID that I'm getting from that event on which the user has clicked. OK. Yes, exactly. So just for the demonstration, I kept it hard coded here. but I think you don't need to mention this part. You can just remove it. So it will remain, it will automatically take that. So yeah, in most of the projects, what I do it, I can keep it in the site setting so that if anything changes in the domain or portal and all, I don't need to do that. Okay. Then this is a simple way to call the Ajax way of doing calling that API. And here I'm just capturing the result. The important thing is that the parameter that you are using here should match with whatever you are using in the Power Pages. Yeah. Even this lowercase and because it's a case sensitive. So always copy the same name, whatever you are using in the Power Pages. So these are the input parameters and this is the output parameters. So just yeah.
So change, you do a deployment between there and here. Will it keep it?
Yeah.
It will remain same for now. Yes. Yes. It's a few line of code just to do, now it doesn't matter what Power Automate is doing. You just need to pass that input parameter and you can expect the output parameter. But if you have to use the portal web API, you can see like you can test by your own on your environment. You see like what are the steps involving that. I'm just showing you. So if you have to do any kind of create, read, update, delete, these are the steps you have to do it. So you can do the web API operation like read, create, update, associate, and deassociate. Okay. You have to create first of all these site settings. So you have to follow this article if you have to use the site portal web API. So you have to create first all these 4 site settings. Then you have to create these site settings for security. Unsupported configured in for this table, you cannot retrieve the data. Here it is. So here you can find the code, how you have to call the API. So all the operators which supports, what are the API call you have to do, but it's complete a JavaScript code, how you can do that. But sometimes user face a lot of issues, setting up the lookup values and all, because it's quite complex syntax, especially when you are dealing with the lookups and all related tables and all, and it still has a lot of limitations. But it's all up to you. Like if you want to do the portal app API, that is also a way. And if you want to go with the low code, no code way, then the Power Pages is the best way to do that. Sorry.
Where does the portal web API actually hosted?
Portal API is specifically for the portal, okay? But in the background, it also use the web API, the Dataverse web API only. Because after all, you are interacting with the Dataverse data, right? So it no matter from wherever you are interacting with Dataverse data, you have to call the Dataverse web API in the background, right? Power Automate, plugins, workflows, these are just an additional layer on top of it. If you have to, perform any operation in the Dataverse, it always go through the organization service in the background. So it's kind of middleware. So portal web API is just a API provided for portal. But whenever you perform the transaction, it first call the Dataverse web API and then Dataverse web API perform the transaction. And in the similar way, when you use the Cloudflow connectors are also using the web API in the background. So whenever you call the Dataverse connector is nothing. It's just a wrapper of the API, right? So yeah, but it's just a low code, no code way, and that is for the professional developers. So well, there are a lot of things we discussed. Okay, and see, let me show you some of other things now. Coding and all, I will not show you now because we have discussed a lot of advanced things. Now I will show you some other features that you find in the studio. We'll go some of the things and we'll check some of the things in the admin centers as well. And then we will look into the deployment part of the portal. Okay, these three. So, okay. Victor, do you want to add anything except this? Because I have covered little bit about the liquid code. Okay, since we know like there is a lot of things in the liquid, but I've already covered the liquid. I've already covered like how we can write the script and all. Okay, so I'm just planning like if I can go through all the admin related settings, what things we can do it from the admin centers, and then we can show the deployment strategies as well. So I think that is or else if you have any questions specifically, because that is what we can cover today at least.
Just
Yes.
something that I will also speak tomorrow, but if you have other sessions.
Yeah, if you want to add anything,
Yeah,
because I
I'll
have.
be super quick.
Sure. Yes.
A little break.
I'll just grab the water that's it's come in 2 minutes.
Actually, I have to get in Teams, right? To share my screen. Is support for your code, both with Power Pages Copilot as well as GitHub Copilot. I promise I won't be very long, but at least I want to give you pointers so that if you don't get to watch my session tomorrow, at least you know a little bit of what I'll talk about, and then you can explore a bit more. So one of the things that ARPIT will show or will tag team and show here in a bit is the ability to download the content of your portal to your local machine and then to open it up using VS Code Desktop. You have VS Code Desktop, and I showed earlier VS Code.dev, which runs on a browser. The browser version has a assistant for Power Pages Copilot, where you can ask the Copilot to write code for you, which is more examples of the code. You can ask the Copilot to explain to you what a command does, or even ask the Copilot to give you instruction in Liquid or JavaScript for Power Pages. Now, when you download the contents of your code to your machine and you host that on VS Code Desktop, you have the opportunity to use GitHub Copilot. Now, this is very different from Power Pages Copilot. Power Pages Copilot is somewhat limited. GitHub Copilot taps the power of what Power Pages Copilot does, plus every other language that is available in the stack. So you have a large number of users You have a lot of data based on what the Copilot has provided and people accepted, what the Copilot has provided and people accepted and then changed or rejected. So GitHub Copilot has a lot more power than just the Power Pages Copilot. So what I have here is I have sample liquid code that well, it's more, let me see if I'm in the right place. Yeah, this is not liquid only, but this is for portal as well. I have a list of data. So I'm using the list object. I'm collecting data from my Dataverse. In this case, I'm showing data from a Business Central virtual table. And when I loaded it without any customization, it gave me just text. All right. It gave me HTML and then text without a whole lot of formatting, right? But we wanted to create richer experiences on the website. I know we gain a lot by showing the data that's trapped within Dataverse to our external user audience, but you want to take it to the next level. You know, just a table without a whole lot of a functionality or visual appeal doesn't really cut it, right? So you have different objects within, or different attributes within the data objects in Power Pages that you can explore. From the design studio, you can create a form or create a list, but the amount of features within Design Studio is very, very limited compared to what's available in the backend. Do you track me so far? And by that, what I mean is this. Let's go to this dashboard page. While it loads, I'm gonna go to my Design Studio. That is a Power Pages website, by the way. And this is my list. Okay, I'm fetching data from a virtual table, which is for us, for our purposes, is just a table in Dataverse. And what I'm doing here that's custom is just this formatting here, right? It was showing just text. I've added more formatting. So how did I do that? I had a shell of code that I was using, but then I asked the Copilot to write a lot of this stuff. And I can still extend on top of that. I can say, all right, this is my HTML button. I can highlight this instruction and do Control I. I'm taking a step of faith here, okay? I don't know if Copilot will do the job for me. Come on, Control I. My Copilot's not loading for some reason. Let me highlight just the HTML and see if it will do this for me. Still not doing it. Say that again? Yeah. Let me close and reopen. Copilot. Yeah. That's not nice. It's failing. Let me see if it will do it here. Yeah, it's not doing it in my JavaScript. Let's say that I'm here and I do this. Provide HTML button with font awesome icon representing alert or past due payment, for example. I'm not sure why it's not showing on the JavaScript file, but it's showing here on the HTML. So I can take this. It would be ideal if it did it on my JavaScript file, but it did not. So I'll take it from this HTML file, and I'll throw it right there. Remove this past due. So now I have my button. I'll do the same for paid. Font some icon or paid invoices. If I don't like that, I can also look for additional suggestions. This is paid, and now I want to do one for open invoices. Okay. And then I'll do the cleanup afterwards because I don't want this content here on this file. I'm just leveraging it to write instructions. Save. Throw that in here. Save. I may not have my terminal going here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I'm connected, but just for the sake of time, then I can push this code, deploy it, and then I would have an icon here. Now, I had no clue. Well, I know how Font Awesome works, and I know I have done this in the past, but I didn't have to go to Font Awesome's website to look for those icons and to compose the way that my script or my list would function here. So point being is, if you have to write code and you don't know necessarily how to get started, and you're gonna write a web template or you are exploring some of this stuff, you can always tap into this power. I find GitHub Copilot a lot more powerful than just the Copilot from Power Pages, and we'll talk about more about it, like costs and what the options are there. But I really like it. You can do things like this. I have a bunch of code here. I can highlight. I can do Control I or right click, go to Copilot and say, Copilot, explain what this is doing, right? Or I could even do generate documentation so it will comment out all my code for me. Or even I could have a blank page here, HTML page, start with the comment using natural language and say, go ahead and generate the liquid HTML or JavaScript code for this particular feature. So this is what we'll talk more about tomorrow. But I wanted to show it to you that it's available and just highlight the difference between the two. What do you gain by downloading your code locally? If you download it to a folder that's bound to source control, to GitHub, you get source control out of it. If you use VS Code and GitHub Copilot, you get AI power to support you in your code journey. And I think you more empowered to extend the work. All right. that's what I had to show. I have a series on, or actually a video, I think a video too on YouTube talking about Liquid alone, just doing side-by-side scripting. If you want to write an if statement, how do you write an if statement? And then the results on the page. If you want to do a for loop, how to write for loops. If you want to add a filter to a for loop where you skip two items at a time, or you read the first item and the last item, things like that. So we go tag by tag within Liquid, and then we show the output on a Power Pages site. So I think it's good training. But even if you don't have the time to spend in learning each command, you can always start. If you use VS Code Desktop, you can start here and say, teach me how to write a for each based on a collection. And then GitHub Copilot will do this for you. You just have to give enough context, as a Power Pages developer, how do I write this? And then it would know what type of languages you need to use for that. The cool thing about this, if you haven't used GitHub Copilot, as you write your code, so suppose I write my code fetching data from the database, and then my next step is to display that data using a for loop. And then I say in my HTML content, add a button to open a pop-up, a model pop-up. It will actually infer to what I'm doing and then start to show potential next steps in my journey writing that code. And the output is incredible. So a lot of things that I would spend a lot of time just going through documentation to find out, how do I use the data that's already on the screen and pass that as parameter to a model pop-up using JavaScript and data tags. It will do it all for you. So that's what we plan to show tomorrow. But that's it. 15 minutes break. All right.
When you really, then you wrap it into a solution. So that means you can push that to other environment.
I'm coming on the deployment now. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to understand if the Power Automate other things is in the solution.
Extension.
Yes.
Deployment is the next option.
Yeah.
Next topic.
Powerful, just
That's brilliant.
put test data in and they just
Yeah.
It doesn't done it before. So in model apps, it's pretty common. You have lookup.
Yeah.
You
Everything else is around composing the site, but not on the site itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, guys, so let's get started now. Okay, so now we're gonna cover two more things in the Power Pages. The first is few more settings in the Design Studio and some admin related things, because as we told, like, Power Pages is for the Fusion development team, where the low-code app makers, professional developers, and the IT administration team can also do these things, right? There are a lot of settings you must aware about that what you can do it from the admin center. So few things we'll also discuss in the Design Studio as well. So for example, if you go to the setup, you see like you have the inbuilt DocuSign integration is also available these days. So currently it's in preview, but if you have any kind of requirement the future, like you have to enable the DocuSign approval process or signature capabilities on the portal, then it is inbuilt available. It's going to be inbuilt available. The second important integration is the payment gateway is also available. It's also in the preview, but most of the time, whenever you are creating any website, especially for the retail, you might be integrating some payment gateways, right? So that is also going to be available soon. And then you have the Copilot capabilities. I think Victor has already covered that. So you don't need to do anything additional things here. You just need to first toggle this on. So this will create a chatbot in the Copilot Studio in the same tenant. And then you can click here to test that chatbot, and you just click here to enable that or publish that chatbot to your website. Okay, so if you can see, like if I can go to my portal and show whether that is working. Oh, sorry. Okay. Click here, you can see like this inbuilt chatbot is available. So you can basically customize that by going to the Copilot Studio as per your business need. And one of the most common requirement, like whenever you are creating a website or the portal, you may be interested to integrate this chatbot with the live human agents as well. Okay, so I have demonstrated a lot of times this omni-channel integration as well. So for example, like if your client has a requirement that they want to show this chatbot on the website, and they want to redirect the user or the human the virtual agent chat to the live human agent chat. Okay, and the capability, like they can have the screen share from the chat, they can have the video calls, audio call. So these all the capabilities you can get it in the omni-channel integration. So by doing that, you can simply transfer your chat. For example, like I'm chatting with the bot, and I can easily configure, like if the bot is not able to answer the questions, it can ask a question, can I transfer your chat to live human agent? So if you click yes, you get the pop-up in the omni-channel integration if you ever use that. So the agent will get the pop-up, they accept the chat, and they can start doing conversation with the customer. So this is just a way you can extend the portal capabilities using some other features like omni channels and all. If I talk about one thing, yeah, site details. So this is in the site details, you see like a default meter that Microsoft has provided that basically check your security configuration especially, and will give you the result like what is the current status of your security in your configuration. So you always have to calculate that, and it basically automatically scan through your configuration you made, and based on that it shows the result. You can click here to get the updated result. This basic details basically shows what type of website you have. Okay, so if you have the trial, then it will show a trial. If you have the production website, then it will show a production one. Okay, the data model, the current my site data model is standard right now, but if you have the data model is enhanced, you can check like it will show here, so you can identify here. It is not enabled for the early upgrade, but you can enable that so that if Microsoft enable any new features in the future, then it will automatically enable you. Application ID I was talking about, as I told, like as soon as you create or install a portal, it actually create a web, it actually registered an app in the Active Directory. You see, like I have so many, portal app available in my Active Directory. Okay, and the one that I'm using is this one. Okay, and if I open that, you see like it has an application ID called this. And this is the same application ID linked here. Yeah. So if I delete that web app, sorry, applications from that entry directory, my portal will stop working, because all the kind of authentication authorization is working through this application that got registered here. So I was talking about if you want to, sometimes restrict the portal user on a particular location, that is this particular location user should not be able to log in, or the someone who is having IP address this, they should be blocked to access the portal. So you can enable the conditional access policy. That is a feature of Azure Active Directory. Okay, so it's up to you, like if you have such kind of requirements. Okay, and then admin actions. So we'll talk about that later. So some of the settings Microsoft has shown here, but if you just go to the admin center, you get a lot of other settings specific to your Power Pages site. Okay. But let me check if I missed anything here. Okay, I think I already covered everything. Security info. There is one more thing I just want to discuss here. Like if you go to the security, we discussed about the web role, page formation, table formation, and WAF. We already discussed. Identity provider, we also discussed, how to enable and disable that. Site visibility is quite a basic requirement. Like until you are doing the until you are doing the development, you may not want to give the access to the site to the other users or the external customers, right? So you can keep your site private until you are doing the development. And once you are ready to deploy to the production or some target environment where you want like the customer can start using your website, then you can make it public. Yeah. Now, if your website is private, then there is an option called grant site access. This grant site access basically applies. So whenever the site is private, then internally in your organization, who can access your site? Because externally, no one can access because you have made it private. So internally, who can access? So you can give access your site to the internal user, and max up to you can give to 50 users. Okay. And if the user is having system administrator role, either in the Dynamic 365 or the Power Platform, you don't need to assign them. They can automatically access your website. Okay, you don't need to assign the name here and share it with them. But if they don't have the system administrator role in your Dataverse, then you can mention their name and just click on share. So by doing that, they can access it. Okay. And just to share that, you need to have either system administrator role, power platform administrator role, or the global administrator role in order to assign that. So this basically keeps your website private and limited to the specific user. And this setting is only for the internal users. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's
Does that count against any licensing?
no, it's not, because the licensing depends on the customer who are logging on the portal. It's not about the developers who are working on that, right? Because we discussed about the licensing, it impact with the authenticated users and the anonymous user, right? As long as you are doing the development. So this setting is basically to avoid the additional licensing cost and all, because whenever you keep the website as a public, anyone can log in your website, anyone can register on website. So that's why Microsoft kept this option like private. You keep it private until you are doing development. Okay, so I redirected to the admin center, and this is how the admin center look like of Power Pages. And you can see like here, there are a lot of settings. Let's start with the top. So you have a site actions. There are a lot of site actions are there. You can restart your website. Okay, sometimes your website is not working properly, or it's quite slow, or any issues can be there, right? So you can restart your site. Sometimes whenever you make few settings, if you make some changes in the site settings, it doesn't reflect immediately on the portal. So you may require to restart the site. Okay. I talked about the cache basically. So whenever you make any changes in the portal, it doesn't immediately reflect on the Power Pages site. It basically takes 15 minutes of time. So it's a default SLA, because I've seen there are a lot of customer complaints about it. Okay, I have created the data in the Dataverse. It's not reflecting on the portal. So it's a 15 minutes SLA, because every time on the production, you can't hit the sync option because it's for the developer. But in the production, it takes 15 minutes of time to sync the changes to the portal. So restart in an option. You can shut down your site temporarily if you want. So that is an option. You can delete your site as well. So this deletion of the site is basically it deletes the configuration, enable custom error whenever whenever you access the portal. Sometimes you see a very common message like something went wrong or an error has occurred like that. Okay, and that is not developer friendly, and you cannot troubleshoot with that error. Okay, so if you just enable the custom error, then you will see the actual error which is coming from the server side, so that you can do the better investigation. Enable diagnostic log. This feature is basically for more troubleshooting. It basically helps you to store the log in the blob storage. So if you want, like you have a very complex website, you are enabling a lot of complex features, and if something goes wrong, you want to log everything in the Azure blob storage. So if you select here, it will it will ask you to provide the blob storage of Azure, and you can uh, give the URL of your blob story, and it will store all the logs there. So you can investigate that if something went wrong. Enable maintenance mode is basically for, if you are doing deployment and you want to put your site for some sort of, maintenance purpose, then you can enable that out. So this is basically site related things. Update Dynamics 365 URL. As you know, like your portal is linked with your Dataverse, and the Dataverse has a unique URL. But sometimes, let's say if you change your Dynamics 365 URL or organization name, then you just select here, so it will automatically reconnect. It establishes the reconnection. Okay, metadata translation is basically for translating your metadata that is being shown on the portal, because if you are creating a multilingual portal, okay, so whatever forms, fields, or the views you are using on the portal are part of the Dataverse. So that will automatically translate with your Dataverse language translation. But there are a lot of things that is specific to the Power Pages sites only. So for that, you need to use this metadata translation option. So for example, like you translated the fields, forms, views. So that will automatically change because you have already uploaded the translation file in the Dataverse. And these are the two extensions they have provided for field service and the project service extension. Okay. All right. So these are the details of the site that we have already seen in the uh, Design Studio. Here you can have an option like connect to the custom domain. So here, if you convert to the trial to the production, I'm not able to do that because it's a developer environment, but you can simply connect with the custom domain using this. There is a custom certificate option. So if you want to change the domain of the portal, so by default, the domain of the portal is powerappsportals.com. But let's say you want to change it to another domain like Microsoft.com, Capgemini.com. So you can ask from your customer, like provide the SSL certificate and just click here. And here you can provide your upload your file and the necessary password. IP restriction is also one of the way if you want to restrict some of the IP. So you can do the IP whitelisting and block and as well. Website authentication key is also very important. What is this? So as I told you, like whenever you create a website, it actually create a Azure app. It's a app registration. It does, and the authentication basically it does is a certificate based authentication. So if I, yeah, okay. Yeah. So this is my app that got registered on create of portal. And if I go to the secrets, you see like it is using the certificate based authentication. So you can either have certificate based authentication or the client secret based authentication. Client secret we actually demonstrate in the PL 400, but this certificate based authentication, and this is the key. This is called a WAF key, and it comes with some expiry date. You see, like there is expiry date here. So after this, before this, you get the notification from the Microsoft that your portal certification key or the web authentication key is going to be expired. Please change that. So this key is very important. If you don't change that, then your portal will be shut down in the or the production. Okay. So the same key you see it here. Yeah. If you have to update that, just click here and then update the key. So it will automatically renew for another year. So it's very important. And Microsoft, I think before 1 month, 15 days and 1 week before they send out the notification if it is about to expire.
So what is that different from client certificate?
Exactly. So it is basically the type of authentication you use it. Client certificate also comes with some expiry, and but it depends like what authentication that Microsoft uses. You can use the client certificate based authentication. You can use the certificate based authentication. But whenever you ask Microsoft, they always recommend the certificate based authentication that is more secure than the secret.
Is there a cost to that?
No. So everything is internal actually.
The service principal will create whilst you're creating your website.
Exactly.
You have to give that at user system admin so they
See, yeah. So whenever you create a site, you must have a global administrator rights on the Azure. Otherwise, you will not be able to create it. You will get an error. Okay, because whenever you create a site, it not only create the site in the Dataverse or necessary configuration, it registered an app in the Microsoft Entra ID as well. So in order to do that, you need to have the global administrator right. So if you don't have that, sometimes your customer asks like, okay, what are the prerequisites to install the portal? So you have to send them the details like, okay, I need to have the global admin rights. Or sometimes they can't give you the global admin rights on the Azure from the organization policy perspective. So you have to ask them or send them the steps how to create the portal. These features are disabled because I'm on the developer sides. These are the additional things you can do it, like Power BI visualization, embedded services. If you want to use the SharePoint integration for the document management purpose, so you can do that. So it's inbuilt SharePoint integration. You can upload the document. So it is the same thing that you use it in your model-driven app, right? So you don't need to do anything additional thing. But if you have to customize anything, I think the better way is Cloudflow, because Cloudflow allow you to connect with the SharePoint connector, and then you can bring the data from the SharePoint. And here is the site checker tool. If you just run it, it will scan through all the configuration and will show down warning and the errors both in the list. Yeah. So you can see like the parent page of an active web page is inactive. So this is one of the configuration issue. You can just check that anonymous access to data was table. So if I forgot like which table is enabled, so you can check that from here. There are one or more table permission that allow anonymous user to access the table. So this is you see and the pass and check. So this is a very good way actually to scan through all the configuration. There was a go live checklist as well that is quite important. Here it is. So whenever you are going to production, you need to ensure that you tick mark all these options. Okay. You don't get this option whenever you are doing the Dataverse or Power Platform deployments. But since you are doing the portal deployment, first of all, you need to run the site checker, allocate the proper license, convert your site from trial to production, enable the CDN, enable WAF. I think this is going to be the default going forward. Connect the custom domain and set your site to public. Once everything is done, then you are good to go for the deployment. Okay, so this is all about the management of the portal from the admin center. Few things I think if I go to the environment, sometimes if you want to check like from the reporting perspective, like in my Power Platform environments, how many sites are running. Okay, so just go to the environment, open your Power Platform environment. For example, I choose this one, and in the right panel, you go to the Power Pages sites. And here you can see like you have currently 2 sites in your environment. And I think if you go to the left settings and click on Power Pages side, this will give you a complete overview at the tenant level. It is not at the environment level. It will give you a complete picture at the tenant level. So you currently have 4 sites in a different environment because this is at the tenant level. So you have currently 4 sites. One is public, and I think 3 is in the suspended state might be. Yeah. If you click on the security preview, it will show you this chart as well. Anonymous access tables to 4 sites. Okay, web application is disabled, external authentication enables is on the 4 side. So this is from the admin perspective, they want to keep track of everything that what's going on different sites. These are my site names. You can directly view it from here. Authentication provider, you can also track it from here. So this gives a very good picture, like local login is enabled in the 3 sites, OpenID is enabled in 2, Microsoft Entra ID is enabled on all the 4 sites, right? If you go to the analytics, this will give you the uses of the portal. For example, I choose maybe this one, and this will give you the report about the uses, like how many anonymous, how the anonymous users are using the data and all. So see, this is all the users, and this is for authenticated users. How many authenticated users are using by this site, anonymous users. So this is basically the monthly. So you can filter it out as well. You can select for the all site. You can check it for the individual sites as well. So it's just a Power BI report that Microsoft has provided for the analytics purpose. And they will add a lot of other features as well, of course, because you can see these are in the preview right now. So yeah, it's a good thing, keep track of your site users. So it was based on the request of the partners and the developers, basically Microsoft has provided. All right, any questions in that? We'll move into the deployment part then.
But you got page hits as well.
I think yes. Let's see, so I have seen actually somewhere that you can also check which page is being used mostly on the site. All users authenticate. Not sure whether they have shown, but I have seen maybe it's going to be introduced in the upcoming release. But I have seen somewhere like you can also check like which page is being accessed most. The active user weekly and daily. Security. No, I think it's going to be released, I guess. Site security check. Sites with integration. Okay. So not yet, but yeah, it will be there.
Notice on the other tab, we had a progressive web application in your setting,
Here.
in your design stream setting.
Here.
Yeah, progressive web application, mobile.
Oh yeah, so this is basically if you want to convert your Power Pages site into the mobile application, because your site user may want to use your Power Pages site on the mobile applications as well. So I've not used that, to be honest, because earlier whenever you have to use the portal on your mobile devices, you have to go onto the browser and hit the portal URL. Okay, but using by enabling this, there is a step-by-step documentation that Microsoft has provided for that. So you need to download a mobile app for that specific to the portal, and then you no longer require to access the portal site on the browser. Okay, and here it works for the offline work for the offline as well. So you can enable here like which page you want like the user can access offline as well. If you enable, if you tick that option, these all the pages that you already created, user can access anonymously as well. Okay, at least they can see the information or but they'll not be able to interact with the dataverse, of course, right? But yeah, sometimes you want like user can still be still can check the data on the page. So you create the page, you upload an Android certificates and all. I've actually created a video on that that is available on my YouTube, but I personally didn't use it for any live client. So I cannot answer more questions on that. But the good thing is that this is basically convert your Power Pages site to a mobile app. Okay, and then you can download that like same like the Canvas app and all, and can start use those features.
That's actually creating a separate app based on your portal. So
Exactly, but the design and everything will come from here only, like the responsiveness and all. You don't get any additional editor and all just to design that mobile application. Whatever pages you already designed for the portal, it will be basically responsive and fit in that mobile app.
And if you change your updated your site in the future, what
Yeah.
you do with that mobile app?
It will automatically reflect because
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
exactly. So it's not kind of Canvas app, right? So if you have to make anything, you can't go into the app and just add and change the control. As I said, like whatever the site is visible on the browser, it is basically the responsive version of that in the mobile. So if your client is specific about like your site should be accessible on the mobile, all the pages should be visible perfectly fine, then you need a good UI expert and all, so that whenever you are designing on the portal, you write the media queries. And if you are writing any CSS, that CSS should be specific to the devices, right? So this is how you have to write your script and the CSS so that it should fit in all the devices.
Did you just say that you enable this, then your normal web
Yes.
site, then you won't be able.
That you can always use it. Yeah, that is still there, but that sometimes is not a good experience, right? You go to the browser and open the site and all. But this is an option that it's a dedicated app available for that. Same like, you know, you open the LinkedIn and all, you just download it from the App Store or Play Store, just double click on that and start using the portal features. Just to give you flavor, I can show that here so that you know, like, how does it look like, how Microsoft. Yeah. So click here, then turn on this option, brand your app. All the steps are there. Define offline behavior, how it's gonna be. So for example, they have enabled these two pages, so this should work in the case of offline as well. Okay, once it is done, you can test it like this. Yeah, so this is how it looks like on the mobile device. And then you can package it. You can distribute your app either by using a browser or through an app store. So you can upload it in your app store by creating in a package, and then the user can download it from the Play Store or App Store. Okay, so this is basically to design the mobile application. All right, so our last topic is for today is the deployment. Okay, so basically the deployment of the portal consists of two things, because as you know, like we have done configuration in two parts. One we have done in the Dataverse and the second we have done in the portal. But whatever configuration we have done in the portal, it's not basically the customization. Okay, there are two things: customization and the configuration. Configuration means we are creating a data. Okay, customization means we are creating we are making changes in the components, like creating forms, creating tables, creating entities, like that. So portal deployment consists of two things: configuration deployment and the customization deployment. Configuration deployment means whatever configuration you have done for the portal. For example, if I go to my management tab, whatever changes I have done in these components, these are the list of components. These are specific to the Power Pages. Okay, I have created site markers, I have created site settings, and these are the records. They are not the customization. Okay, so we call it as configuration. So don't confuse with that. Configuration means we have done already, we have created the data in the existing table. Okay, customization means this is my solution, and here I have done the customization. I have created the cloud flows. I have created the connection references. I have a workflow. I have these custom tables and all. Okay. Now, earlier we had to do the separate deployment, right? The Dataverse solution deployment is different, and the portal deployment will be different, because this portal configuration cannot be part of the solution, right? Because they are the records. So imagine I have to deploy this site setting. I cannot include that in my solution. Okay. So usually when you work in the Power Platform or in the model driven app, how you migrate your configuration. For example, you have some data like country, state, pin codes. Uh, you might have some master data available. So either you use the export Excel export import, right? Or you use the configuration migration tool. Okay, so that is the only way. So this is happens with the portal as well earlier. So for the Dataverse component deployment, you used to use this Dataverse solution normal export import deployment. And whatever changes you have made for this portal configuration table, you used to have like the configuration migration tool. But there are now plenty of ways to do the deployment. So first was configuration migration tool, and that is still relevant, but we don't use it now. The second option is that is for the app maker, is the solution based deployment. So whenever you go to the design studio, go to the home page, there is a solution option within the design studio. Now everything can be part of the solution. Earlier, this site cannot be part of a solution because it is a configuration. But now you can include the configuration as well as part of your solution. Okay, so that is the enhancement that Microsoft has done. So this is the solution. Imagine I have this solution for this particular training. For example, Power Pages demo. And this Power Pages demo, you will see, okay, it doesn't have anything. Let me open some other, maybe Power Pages training. Now in this solution, you already have the Dataverse components available, and you can create your own as well. And I think you have already created one for Cloudflow. I just created a Cloudflow, right? That is integrated with that. And there are configuration. How I can include the configuration? Click on add existing, and there is an option called site. Okay, that means I don't need to include the web page, site setting, forms, and all. Everything is linked with the site. If I select the site, I can include all the configuration in my solution. Okay, so now a single solution. In the single solution, I have the configuration of the portal, and I have the customization of the component as well. So I can straight away do this solution deployment, either using manual way, or you can also use the Azure DevOps pipeline, or you can also use the Azure pipelines if you have used Azure pipeline before. Here it is. Okay, so this is basically for the app maker. Since I have a standard data model, that's why it's not enabled. I have not the managed environment as well. But this is the one way. The first way you can do the manual deployment. The second way you can use this pipeline to export this solution and import it. Or the third way you can do the Power Platform build tools if you ever use that. This is the tool that Microsoft has provided.
What's the best practice with each solution? Is it to have a separate solution for the website, pages, or to have it as part of your own data layer?
Actually, there is no kind of best practices. It basically varies based on project to project, right? Sometimes I'll tell you the pros and cons of each deployment strategy. So this is the tool that Microsoft has provided, which actually helps you to do the solution deployment, the Dataverse solution deployment. It is not specific for the portal deployment, but I'm talking about in general. If you have to deploy the solution, you can use this tool. Now, so we talked about this strategy. You can have a single solution and include your Power Pages configuration, include your Dataverse component, and then you can deploy that. Now, what is the pros and cons of this, this particular feature? Pros is that, everything is there in the solution itself, and everything is there within the design studio. Okay, you don't need to go here and there to add a component, find your own components. So everything within that, you can deploy everything in a one go. Okay. Cons, I would say, like it doesn't support the incremental deployment. Okay, as you can see, like if I have to deploy my site, I have to include the whole site. Imagine first time deployment, it's fine. I can deploy the whole site because everything is new and I have created custom one. But next time, let's say I have got a bug on the production and I just fixed a JavaScript in a particular page. So I supposed to deploy that particular web page only instead of the whole site, because in the production, you cannot deploy the whole site, right? So that is not a good deployment way in the production right now. But I know Microsoft is still working on that to make it increment deployment as well. Same like the Dataverse component, because if you have to, if you are making changes in the Dataverse component, you can specifically select that component from here, right? For example, table. I can select the table, and here I get the option to select the object. For example, I have to deploy only this particular field, so I can deploy only this particular field. But this is not there in the portal right now.
Are you doing an update of the solution? It knows it's to update. It doesn't matter that if you still have the same amount of components that's included in that solution because it's labeled.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what, I guess, because the site stuff is data, so it's not so easy.
So since it's in currently preview, basically, there are a lot of things are unclear to me as well, because this is just a way that Microsoft has provided that we can include the site in the future. How it gonna work in the case of managed solution or unmanaged solution, that is still unclear. You will not find the documentation there as well. But this is just a future plan that they are going to include that in the solution, so that your sometimes it also happen, your portal deployment cycle is different with the Dataverse deployment cycle. You may not want to deploy your portal component along with your Dataverse component. So that also be a different way to do that, right? But this is, they just incorporate this feature, and this feature will always be available if your data model is enhanced. That is not available for the standard data model. Okay. So this is the one way. And the second way is the Power Platform CLI based deployment. Okay, so let me show that as well. You want to show something in this, Victor, or I can jump into? Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Then we can transition to the CLI. All right. Are you still awake? I'm trying to stay awake. It's not because the content is boring. It's just I'm tired. All right. Let's go Teams one more. We still have people here. Awesome. All right. So in this environment, I have enabled enhanced data model. And here's how a solution looks like. A solution that's based on the enhanced data model. You'll notice that it has all the site content, reference to the site and all the components associated with it. Site language, it did pick up a table, because I do have a table on the site associated to table permissions. So it detected that and added the table all by itself. I didn't have to do it manually. And it's all here. Now, here's the catch, and where there is a lot of chatter, even with Microsoft, on where this is going. There is data in my site, configuration data, that is environment specific. For example, if I'm doing development and I am using an external identity provider, the token that is associated to that provider will be different on each environment, right? I go to Facebook authorizes my user, and Facebook needs to know where to respond with the token. So it will be different for each environment. So therefore, if I use the solution type of deployment and I push that solution to all the other environments will be broken thereafter, right? So those are the things that we are talking about. The other thing is what Arpit said. I may not want to push everything once again, right? I may want to do just the things that I changed. And then there is yet one other scenario that it's one that we are trying to push Microsoft into that direction, which is there is no ISV market for Power Pages because there is no way to package and sell this thing. It's all nothing. You're not buying a product, you're buying service. Someone that understands the technology goes there and installs it, a component or an enhancement. So you can't really do much about it. Now with the CLI though, and that's what Arpit's going to show, here in a little bit, you can do that. There is this concept of deployment profile where you create bits and pieces of components or parts of your site that you want to push to a particular environment. So I may have a tag on my site indicating that it's in test, and I can replicate that tag for each particular environment, add it to a deployment profile. And when I deploy, I say, I'm going to deploy this version of the site to this particular environment using this deployment profile. So far, so good. So to me, the best way to do deployments today is still the CLI. I can decide what I want to move from environment to environment. Now, there is an attempt again to rally Microsoft people to include some of these experiences to a deployment story. Meaning, why not when I import a solution file, why not ask me what deployment profile I want to use? Much like what we do with environment variables, right? But we are not there yet. Someone asked earlier, do you have examples of sites that we can install and use to get started? So I started this initiative called Power Pages Plus, where you can look for templates. There are templates there you can download and use. This is all free, by the way. And you wouldn't be starting from scratch. I don't know if I'll be able to show. Let's see. So that is the example I showed earlier. This is just a JavaScript library for charts and a bunch of Bootstrap HTML examples. It's available there. There is 3 or 4 templates there. I know Rapid has his template as well available in GitHub that you can try and use now, but this is using solutions. All right. So actually the repo here, when you go to download, it includes solution files and also the contents of the site. If you want to play with the contents of the site, which is the part that he's going to show with the CLI. But if you want to start with a solution install, you can download the solution and install it to your environment. Now, by importing a solution file that has a site to your environment, you're not magically changing the site that you already have in your environment. You have to go to the administration area, click to edit the site and say, I want to use this other website record on my site. So you still create a portal using a blank template or whatever, and then you go edit the site using the admin panel and point it to the new record that you just imported. Okay? All right.
Okay.
I can do the CLI if you want. Unless just the CLI part, just the command line.
Yeah, if you want, you can do that. I've already opened here as well.
Right. Then go ahead. I'll let you do the talk.
I'll do that, yeah. Hopefully everything is working. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, I have to show you something.
Okay, so the first way that we looked at is the solution-based deployment. So the advantage was everything can be included in the solution, regardless it's a Dataverse component or the Power Pages component. The disadvantage that Victor mentioned, it will deploy the whole site. There is no kind of incremental deployment. And the second is, you may have the different configuration for the different environments sometimes. So if you will check my last session that I've given in the Zero to Hero mentorship program, I have set up the Azure AD B2C setup. Okay, so if you go to the editor, let me show you quickly so you will understand like why the configuration should be different for different environments. So it doesn't basically for the forms or the the JavaScript and all. It basically for the identity provider. So imagine I want to enable the Azure AD B2C. Okay. Now, once I do the Azure AD B2C, you see that the authority URL, client ID, redirect URL, this all the configuration is related to the B2C. Okay. And this URL and everything will be different for different environment. Okay, so if I will do the site-based deployment, the solution-based deployment, it will override the configuration for UAT or the production. All right, so this capability is not there yet in the solution deployment. So that is the second thing. Okay, now the second options that Victor was also preferring and I'm also preferring is the Power Platform CLI-based deployment. Okay, I know it's basically for the pro developers, but it's not that difficult. So if you can just follow this article, okay. So first of all, what you have to do is you should open the Visual Studio Code, okay. Click on the terminal, new terminal. Now here it will directly take you to this particular path, but it's up to you, like in which particular path you want to go, and then you want to first export the configuration from your development environment, right? So you have to first make the connection with the source environment. So in order to make the connection with your source environment, you have to use this command like this. Now, what is this pack? So you will not be able to directly use it. You need to first download this Power Platform CLI on your machine before start using these commands. So it's just a straightforward way. Yeah, so this is the way you can, download the Power App CLI on your local machine. Just do next, and it will take a couple of seconds to install on your local machine. So once you do that, open your VS Code, go to the terminal, click new terminal, and then choose the path where you want to take the export of your portal configuration. Now I need to replace this with my source environment URL. So I'll go back here and then go to my admin center, environments. So this is my environment where my site is there. Okay, and this is the URL, right? We'll remove it. Okay, we'll hit enter. Just ask for the credentials so that I can connect with the organization. And it's a one time, yeah. Since I'm doing first time, that's why I need to, then it will store that credentials on my local machine somewhere. So the authentication is successful. Perfect. So I have made the connection now. Okay. Now the second thing is that I need to check how many sites are created in that particular environment, because it's not always necessary that there are only single site is available. So I need to use the second command, the step number 2, list the available website. So you need to copy this. This will list down all the sites that I have in my source Power Platform environment. So you can see, like, I have 3 sites now. The sites are there, and here are the the website ID of the individual sites. So we need this unique ID in order to export the specific or the respective site. So for example, I want to export this particular site, or I want to export this one. Copy it, website ID. You could also copy it from the environment as well. Then the third step is download that website content. So copy this. Okay. Now this is the path. This is the path where I want to download that particular configuration. And this is the name, this is the ID. So better to put it here like this. And just copy this ID and replace this with that. Remove the space. And I want to, so this will remain same. And I need to change the path where I want to download. So, all right, let it be downloaded at this location, copy. Then if we put this, enter. So it connected and you see like it started downloading all the website content on my local machine. Done. Then the next thing is that I want to open these all the configuration on my local machine. So how can I do that? We'll go to File, New Window, File, open a folder, Downloads, get the C drive, right? You can see the pack portal is created. Downloads, the Power Pages training. So this is the name of my site. Click on select folder and you can see the whole configuration is there in my Visual Studio. You can just simply expand that. This is the same thing what you are doing on the web version of the VS Code, right? But this is something you can do it offline as well. So, and you can also install the Copilot extension on your local browser. You can do your development here. So for example, if I expand here and all, web pages, everything, the HTML and all, you can find it here like this. Let me open the home page just to showcase. Yeah, so this is the home page, HTML. So it doesn't have anything now. So for example, you want to make changes now. So you will, what you will do, you will write your script, write your HTML page, whatever you want. Then finally, you will upload it back to the target environment or whatever environment it is. So the final step is, so the change the website content. So that is the fourth step. You will do some changes and all. And then finally you upload the changes. Okay. So to upload the changes, copy it. And I'm not going to run that now, but just I'm going to show it like how can do that. And here I need to replace this custom portal with the name of the portal that I have created. And it is Power Pages Training. All right, so make the changes in your portal. Again, go to the terminal and then run this command. So once you do that, it will, take, whatever exported configuration you had, you made the changes, import it back to the environment. Okay, so this is the way how you can take the export and import. Now this upload is going to be happen in the target environment, right? In the different environment, or you can do it in the same environments as well. There are two things. You made the changes in the source environment and you upload it back there. So the advantage is that when you upload the you made the changes in a single file or HTML file and you upload it back to the same environment, it will only upload that particular file. It's not going to upload the whole configuration again. Okay. And if you upload this to the target environment, it will upload everything. Okay. And the increment deployment is also possible in this case. And the Victor is mentioning about the deployment profile here. So how you can create the deployment profile. So the next step is that come down, upload the changes using deployment profile. Okay. So you need to create a deployment profile folder under your main folder. So if you can go down, and this is your main site, right? So you can create a new folder called deployment folder here. OK, and in that deployment folder, you can have multiple YAML files. For example, one is for dev, and one is for UAT, and one is for production. And whatever configuration you want to keep it unique per environment, you can keep it in your YAML file. So for example, what they have done it, they have a content snippet whose GUID is this, and the name of the content snippet is this. And for development YAML file, they kept the name of that content snippet is dev. And I think you can see after the deployment, when they have deployed it to the different environment, the title, the suffix on the browser in the source environment is custom portal, and the production it is bracket dev. So that this demonstration basically says if you have some unique configuration across your environment, then always use the deployment profile. OK, this is the second number. This is the second way to do the deployment. Now the advantage of using that is, whatever the disadvantage was there of the solution deployment, you can, overcome here. But not the disadvantage, but the limitation here is that this is only specific for the portal deployment. OK, you still have to do the Dataverse component deployment separately. So you need to have your Dataverse component like tables, forms, and all. So both deployment will be independent with each other. You have to first deploy the Dataverse deployment, then you have to do the portal deployment. Don't reverse it. Otherwise, it will get failed, because when you deploy the portal deployment first, you have some forms, views that is linked with the Dataverse. So they will be blank. Otherwise, if it's not available on the target. So this is the second thing. Now, being a, if you are not quite friendly with this, running the commands and everything, you want to automate this thing. You want to get rid of with this kind of, running the command, exporting and all. So Microsoft has created a build task for you. OK, so you can automate that. Obviously, this is a manual way to do the deployment, right? Every time you have to take the export changes and import it back. So if you want to automate that, I have already created. So this is the DevOps based deployment. So this is my Azure DevOps, where I have a repository called Portal Solution. There is a folder called Portal Solution, and here another folder called Portal Deployment. OK, I'll create a simple pipeline. OK, that's a CI/CD pipeline. So I've already created a pipeline here. We'll open that. Yes. OK, click on edit. How many of you already created pipeline or CI/CD before? You have seen this screen before?
Yeah.
No. OK, so basically this is Azure DevOps that helps you store your, code or your configurations, whatever you have, and it actually helps you automate your deployment. OK, so for example, I am doing in my organization, we are doing a lot of things in the Dataverse, Power Platform, Power Pages, Azure and everything. So we can have this repository where we can create a folder and we can have your code. So this is basically for the version management perspective. You can track what you have deployed in the production and all, right? You can do the branching and all. So you can see like I have created two folders. One is for the Dataverse deployment and one is for the portal deployment. OK, so I want like I will create a CI/CD pipeline. CI/CD is nothing, it's just a continuous integration, continuous deployment. So it's basically I will create a pipeline. I've already created a pipeline. Go to edit. Whatever I was doing manually, this task will do it automatically. So the first step you have to do it, tool installer. And what is this tool installer? You remember I told you like you need to first install the Power Platform CLI on your local machine in order to run those pack commands, right? You just need to click on this plus icon. OK, search the Power Platform build tools. Here it is. This is the Microsoft provided build tools, and you just select tool installer, click add. That's it. So this will all automatically install the Power Platform CLI on the Microsoft Server machine wherever you are running this pipeline. Okay. Step number second, you have to export the portal configuration, right? Search, export. Here it is. Just click and add. So this build task. This is basically a build task in your CI/CD pipeline. This build task required some details. For example, like you have made the authentications and all, right. So you just click the service principal, select your dev environments, provide your solution name that you want to take the export. Oh, sorry, I think I have wrongly selected. I think we have to select for the portal. We don't want to export the, here it is, export data. So this is basically for the portal. Select the service principals, dev. Now you may have this question like why I have selected this service principal. Because if you want to do the automation of the deployment, you cannot expect that the login screen prompt and all, right? Because whenever I had done it in the VS Code, I got the login prompt, right? That I don't want to do that in the automation. So that's why if you want to avoid the MFA, if you want to skip the MFA, you have to use the service principals. You need to register your app in your Active Directory and you get the client ID and secret and everything. And then here you have to provide your connection. That's it. And then schema file. This schema file name is basically, you know, what schema file is basically like what configuration you want to take the export from the portal. Okay. And then this is the zip file that you want to take export from. So it's just in a straightforward way. So export it, and this is your CI pipeline. Huh? And if you want to import it, then you go to the release and create a CD pipeline. And you already have the CD pipeline here. Click on edit. And the step will remain same. The only thing will be change is so first you have to use the tool installer. Add. Just remove this all. And then you have to take the import now this time. Import data. And in this import, you have to select the target environment. Select the service principal and select the UAT. Okay. And you have taken the export of the data file in the CI pipeline. Here you have to provide the path of that. So this is the way how you can, automate your deployment. In the CI pipeline, you took the export, and the export is basically using the same pack command that we were running it manually on the VS Code. But here you don't need to run all this command. This build task is basically a layer on top of it, which is running all those commands in the background. Okay. So this is the way how you can do that. So it's basically a tool that is provided by Microsoft. Here it is, Power Platform Build Tools that you have to install in your DevOps CI/CD if you are using. I have also created my own tool because this tool provided by Microsoft, this basically help you to do the Dataverse solution deployment plus your portal deployment. Because if you can see, like in this pipeline, I have included the task only for the portal. But if you want to do the Dataverse deployment as well, you have the export solution task as well, right? So the major advantage of using that, you can deploy your Dataverse solution, plus you can deploy your portal configuration in the same pipeline in an automated way. But sometimes you don't need to do that. I have created a tool by my own quite few years ago that only do the portal deployment. So that is a tool that I have built a few years ago, Power Pages Build Tools, and it has basically 3 tasks: portal tool installer, export portal configuration, and import portal configuration. That's it. Okay, so the tool that you are using in my DevOps pipeline here, this one, export portal configuration, this one, this is the my tool. So it's up to you if you want to use only dedicated build task or CI/CD task for portal deployment. You can use my tool. It is also free available. If not, then you can use the the one that is provided by the Microsoft as well. Okay. But it doesn't have any sort of disadvantage. But the only thing is that, you need to have the DevOps license for that. If your organization is not using DevOps, then you probably not be able to use that feature. But it has very good, like, you can automate your deployment. You can schedule your pipelines as well. So for example, if you already created a pipeline and you want, like, every time you take the export, you want to deploy it automatically. So you can schedule it at the night job as a night job as well and all. Yeah, so that's it. There are a couple of ways to do the deployment of the portal, and it's up to you that how you want to do that. We as a developer in the live environment, we use the Power Platform CLI because that is the quite a stable way. We cannot use the solution deployment. So we are either using Power Platform CLI or this Azure DevOps way. So that is the two best way to do that. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you so much. We try our best to cover whatever possible. I know, like, still there are a lot of things, but you have to sit down and learn from the MS Learn a lot, because a lot of things are changing, a lot of things are new introducing. As you've seen, like, we have seen a lot of things new today also, so we also have to learn new things. So yeah, it has a good time. Thank you so much.
Let's say